You're watching Alaska's news source.
Today on the Morning Edition, high waves and strong winds batter the west coastline of Alaska, leading to flooding in multiple communities and evacuation orders being issued. We'll have the very latest. Plus, Anchorage Mayor Suzanne LaFrance says the city is better prepared this year for snow handling and removal. Details on the new plan and new equipment to handle this coming winter. And later, if the house you're looking at makes you think you need to call the fire department on their behalf, you're not alone, but it's actually just a Halloween display. We'll bring you those details as the Morning Edition starts right now.
Well, a dangerous storm is battering western Alaska. Powerful winds and surging waves are slamming into the coast, putting homes and lives at risk. This is video from Willie Hogendorn in Nome, capturing the force of the storm as winds howl and waves crash against the shore.
Obviously, a lot going on in western Alaska, some threatening weather there, Aaron. Let's get right to the latest.
Yeah, we're still holding on to those coastal flood warnings, which continue through the remainder of today and into our Friday for areas of northwestern portions of the state. Now, that system continues to exit off towards the northeast as it moves out of the Chukchi Sea. But with that being said, we're still seeing some impacts this morning in the form of some strong winds. It's just still leading to the potential for some flooding concerns. At last check, out towards the Kivalina tide gauge, we are seeing minor flooding, while KTUU is still dealing with a major flooding event with those waves that have been pushing on shore. That's also backing up the sound out towards KTUU. Notice these winds on the backside of this low pressure system continuing to pump in from the west southwest at times. These windy winds are continuing to push in more of those waves to shore as well as into KTUU Sound, which is leading to that flooding that we are dealing with this morning. Now, the good news is as the day continues to progress, we are going to see these impacts greatly continuing to deplete across western parts of the state. And this will lead to a brief lull in the activity before another storm system arrives as we welcome in the weekend. But notice all up and down areas of northwest Alaska out towards parts of the Seward Peninsula, Norton Sound. We continue to see coastal flood advisories as well as some coastal flood warnings. Water levels could be upwards of about 10 feet above the normal highest tide. And of course, we are going to see some of the greatest flooding potential out towards northwestern parts of the state, which is where we've already been seeing the flooding videos coming in from KTUU. Now, this is a video or a photo coming in from Cynthia Carmen. You can see those rough seas that we've got out towards the Bering Sea, but notice the road wall, out towards areas of western Alaska where we're seeing these waves pushing into the shore. This is causing that erosion. It's causing those waters or the roads to break away as well as the soil to break off as well. So this is leading to that coastal erosion as well as that flooding. Ongoing winds are still with us. Utqiagvik, you're seeing those winds up to 50 miles per hour. I'll have more on what to expect as the week draws to a close in that 7-day forecast coming up.
Continuing today's top story, that powerful Bering Sea storm is delivering high winds to western Alaska. Wind gusts between 50 and 80 miles per hour were recorded from the Aleutians to western Alaska on Tuesday and Wednesday. These strong winds are causing a storm surge of 4 to 10 feet for many communities. Flooding is ongoing and will likely continue into Thursday. Adelmi Ruiz joins us now from the newsroom with the latest on what residents along the coast of Alaska are experiencing. Adelmi.
Kristen, images and videos flooding in from western Alaska Wednesday night showing entire towns submerged in the rising tides. KTUU was among the first to evacuate as the storm battered the coast, but officials say all the communities in the northwest Arctic borough are at risk. Roughly 280 of Kivalina's residents evacuated to the new school, likely to spend the night.
The wind is not consistent. It's changing, it's shifting, it's picking up speed, it's that kind of thing. Is same with the surf. When you stand there and watch it, there will be swells coming in with all of the wave action. And then when we hit about 12 noon today, between 12 noon and 1, that's when things started really getting serious. And people were scared. So your first priority is always the safety of the people.
As of 10:45 p.m., the tidal gauge at KTUU Sound in KTUU reached 6.32 feet. Water levels dropped slightly to 6.32 feet at 8 p.m. and remained at that level at 9 p.m., which is still in major flood stage. The highest level was at 7 p.m. at 6.71 feet. That is in an increase of more than 6 feet since Tuesday afternoon. The water is expected to stay high throughout the night. Many streets in KTVF are flooded as water from the storm surge inundates the community. As staying informed right now is critical, our weather app has 24/7 updated coverage at your fingertips from the Alaska's Weather Source team. Just search for it in the App Store. You can also sign up for alerts at alaskasnewssource.com that will give you up-to-the-minute updates on Alaska's news and weather. Kristen?
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Aside from the storms on the West Coast, winter is coming, and this year Anchorage says it's ready. Mayor Suzanne LaFrance unveiled new snow equipment and a massive snow dump site Wednesday, one capable of holding 1 million cubic feet of snow. Along with new plows, blowers, and graders, you'll be able to track the city's snow plows in real time.
This modernization is a major undertaking, and it will take time. It'll take several years before we have all the new equipment we need. However, I am proud to announce that the first new pieces of equipment have already arrived and will be in use this season, and more is on the way.
Looking ahead, funding for the city's snow removal fleet will come from a new tax levy approved by voters in April. Municipal leaders say the levy is expected to bring in about $3.5 million annually. The Anchorage Assembly is weighing new rules that could change how short-term rentals like Airbnb operate in the city. Assemblymember Daniel Volland introduced an ordinance that would require property owners to register their rentals with the city. He's also backing a separate proposal asking voters to approve a 5% tax on short-term rentals, money that would go toward creating more affordable housing.
Those revenues would then be dedicated to a municipal housing fund, which we could do all kinds of creative things to help with housing development here in Anchorage, particularly workforce housing development.
I just don't find making the guest pay more is going to help us with tourism, right? On top of the fact that, with this additional bed tax, I understand the part of it, which is to try to go to affordable housing. There's just not really a plan set up on what that looks like, and there's not really any data that's collected to say, hey, this is going to benefit.
The Assembly plans to vote on whether to put the tax question on the ballot on October 21st. The same day, they'll take public testimony on whether Airbnbs should be registered with the city. Turning now to election coverage, official results from more than 20 communities in the state, including mayoral elections, are still to come. Political reporter Will Courtney has his fingers on the pulse, the latest developments.
What we have now, the unofficial election results, still pending certification in many communities as well, still waiting to see those absentee ballots, those ballots that are under scrutiny, what the results of those are going to be. That makes it, for a lot of these races, still too early to see where they're actually going to lie. But let's look with that important context at some of our elections right now. This is the city of Kenai Mayor, former Vice Mayor Henry Nackstedt, currently in the lead with 58%. Trailing by current city councilor Alexander Dothett at 41%. Going up to Fairbanks, one of the more interesting races we've been following, Mindy O'Neill currently in the lead with 54%. Important context, though, David Cruz has also conceded his seat as well. So these are some of the races we're watching all at the same time, monitoring some ballot initiatives over taxes and election operations. We have the full list of all the ballot initiatives and candidates on our website as well. Will Courtney, Alaska's News Source.
And as Will stated, in Fairbanks, the race for mayor appears decided. Incumbent David Cruz has conceded to challenger Mindy O'Neill, but up to 1,450 ballots, absentee and question ballots, remain to be counted. O'Neill leads by 280 votes. The city clerk says the concession won't affect the final tally if the numbers shift after certification. Alaska's News Source caught up with both candidates on election night.
I am so pleased that the message that we ran with resonated with the residents of Fairbanks, and that there was a vision painted collectively that Fairbanks can be a vibrant place to be.
This has been a humbling, most rewarding experience, being mayor of the city of Fairbanks for 3 years. There's no better job in the elected world than being the mayor of the city of Fairbanks, and I wish Mindy the best.
After being reviewed by the borough's canvass board, all absentee and questionable ballots will be counted next Tuesday. Results are set to be certified October 23rd. Just ahead on the Morning Edition, our investigative team takes a deep dive into the impacts of the underage resentencing that can and has already resulted from a 2023 court ruling.
Ongoing stormy conditions out west. I'll have more on that. The next storm that arrives on our doorstep. But first at sunrise, coming in at 8:27 in Anchorage, 7:21 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning, Aaron. As we've been mentioning all morning, that threatening weather in western Alaska. What's the latest?
Well, we're still seeing those gusty conditions. Now, the good news is those peak winds, those have subsided across western and northwest Alaska. With that said, coastal flooding will continue. Winds will still be quite gusty throughout the day, although max winds should be less than 50 miles per hour for the rest of your Thursday. Northwest Alaska will see the greatest flood potential as we've been dealing with out towards Kivalina as well as KTVF, and then we're watching more rain, winds, and rough seas that will move into the Bering Sea, the Aleutians, and western Alaska as we welcome in the weekend. So our winds, those will continue to kind of taper off as we welcome in the remainder of today on into the afternoon hours. So that is some good news when it comes to the winds, as that will allow that storm surge and all of that water that pushed inland to kind of recede, and we'll see a brief lull in the activity. And then as we welcome in the weekend, we're watching our next storm system that's building into the Aleutians and the Bering Sea. This is coming from the remnants of a typhoon. We are going to see another round of some winds and rain moving into western and southwest Alaska as we welcome in the weekend. Now, the strongest winds look to arrive overnight Saturday on into Sunday. Be prepared for the possibility that we could once again see winds in excess of about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Of course, those stronger winds look to be out over the open waters of the Bering Sea. So out towards St. Paul Island, we could see that potential for some of those stronger winds, as well as Gamble, St. Lawrence. So this activity kind of tapers off across western and northwest Alaska. And again, we will continue to see that coastal flooding, which will likely persist through the remainder of today. Those winds, though, will gradually taper off, and we'll see some snow spreading through the Brooks Range and possibly through the interior overnight on into our Friday. There's that next storm system, though, that will build northward into the Bering, and we're going to see the greatest impacts again arriving Saturday on into Sunday as we really begin to see this storm system building northward across the state. You can see out towards the Aleutians by early Saturday morning, we can see some widespread rainfall across the region. This all comes as that ridge of high pressure still remaining with us just a bit to our south. It has become somewhat flattened, so we're seeing our motion or the flow in our atmosphere pushing all of these storms into western Alaska. So we're going to continue to see this for the foreseeable future. That's why we've got another storm on our doorstep as we welcome in the weekend. So again, be prepared for another round of some possible rain as well as some high winds, as well as the potential that we could see some more rounds of some wintry mix in the forecast. In fact, the outlook ahead continues to favor well above average precipitation. In fact, later today on into the close of this week, we'll see some increasing snowfall potential for areas of the western Brooks Range as well as the central Brooks Range. If you're truckers or anyone driving along the Dalton Highway, be prepared for that possibility that we could see some areas of snow in the forecast. Now, here across South Central, while we will tap into some cooler weather as the week draws to a close, we're only expected to drop into the 40s. A high of 45 degrees Saturday. Rain does return this weekend on into next week. Sunday, maybe a bit on the wet side and possibly even some breezy conditions moving back into South Central to start off next week.
We were all stupid when we were 15 years old, all of us. But we didn't kill people.
Ralph Samuel's brother was murdered by a teenager in 1989. The former Alaska lawmaker and some victim families now worry a 2023 court ruling could reduce sentences for that killer and dozens of others who committed crimes as juveniles. Legal advocates counter that the ruling addresses a constitutional requirement. It's a requirement that courts must consider the fundamental differences between juvenile and adult offenders when determining sentences. Our investigative team took a look at both sides of the issue and the potential impact.
Time is a gift. Existing in this world is beautiful, full of color, unimaginable kindness, love, shared between two brothers, Ralph and Dwayne. But to experience this life,
He just lost everything for nothing.
the best comes with the worst.
I would say the defining moment in my life was October the 5th of 1989. All of our lives are completely different because of what happened on that day. Dwayne did nothing wrong. He was home at 10 o'clock in the morning and the doorbell rang.
It was Samuel's father and brother who found the body. Minutes later, police were on the scene to investigate.
16-year-old Jonathan Norton was at the door. He wanted Dwayne's sports car and confessed to police he shot Dwayne 3 times to get it. It's reported he shoved Dwayne's body in a closet and covered it with clothes. Dwayne's dad found him.
Dad was just imagine. As worse as you can imagine, that's what it was like. You know, all he could say was, "How am I going to tell your mom?" That's all he could say over and over again. He missed out on a whole life, on travel and love and loss and, everything that makes up all of our lives, and he missed all of it.
Sentenced as an adult to 99 years, Norton also missed the best parts.
People are often not the worst mistake that they've ever made. And we want for our clients to get their day in court to be able to show the world who they've become in the decades since their incarceration.
In Alaska, almost 70 teenagers have been convicted of crimes and sentenced as adults according to the Department of Corrections. What's in question is how many of them could be resentenced after a 2023 Alaska Court of Appeals ruling found that juvenile sentences must consider age, vulnerability, and prospects for rehabilitation, and how juveniles are fundamentally different from adults.
We understand the seriousness of these cases, and we understand very much that these are hard things for our community to do. And, we appreciate, I think, grace on all sides of the justice system when it happens.
The ACLU of Alaska represents Norton. It's unclear how many other cases could be resentenced.
And the U.S. Supreme Court has affirmed more than once now that, you have to consider juveniles differently when you're sentencing them because their brain is not fully developed. So we look at the importance of this as a justice issue. It's a constitutional issue. We want to make sure no one is being sentenced to a sentence that is cruel and unusual.
We were all stupid when we were 15 years old, all of us. But we didn't kill people. So at the time, I didn't really give a damn that he was 16. I watched what it did, to my family.
No one gets their time here back. What is missed is gone. And what happens next approaches.
How do you think it will end?
I think they'll resentence.
Do you think he'll get out?
That I don't know. If he's a better guy, that's great. He can be a better guy in jail for a while longer.
And if you have a tip for our investigative team, you can reach us at 2investigates@KTUU.com. The U.S. Navy has been a staple of the U.S. military since 1775, and now 250 years later, it's a time to celebrate its 250th birthday and take a look back and over what makes the Navy both successful and strong. We'll dive in next.
This newscast is brought to you.
Welcome back in on this Thursday morning. We've got some breezy conditions that continue across South Central. We've got those temperatures in the 30s and the 40s across most of Alaska. As we wake up this morning, we are expecting to see some sunshine across South Central. We are also going to favor those temperatures once again warming back into the 50s. Now into the interior, we're watching a chance for some wintry mix, which will arrive into the evening hours as those temperatures are set to drop back below that freezing mark. And then as you head out towards southeast, Sunny and warm weather expected to continue for a good portion of the Panhandle, although areas of the northern Panhandle could see some showers, but largely expecting quiet weather as the week draws to a close. 30s and 40s this morning through the interior as we wake up. Again, we are watching that chance that we could see some increasing wintry mix throughout the evening hours. Temperatures today will warm into the mid to upper 40s, and we are going to see some cooler weather arriving as the weekend approaches, with those temperatures set to drop into the 30s. Ongoing snow will build into areas of western Brooks Range to the central Brooks Range, as well as areas of the Dalton Highway. Notice through the interior, not everyone will see that wintry mix. Fairbanks, you may see just a few flurries mixing in with that rain at the surface, but most of that snow that we're going to see will be the hills surrounding Fairbanks, some of those higher elevations out towards the White Mountains, and then, of course, areas out towards the Alaska Range, which could see a few inches of that snow accumulation. But be prepared that we will see the potential return for some winter weather overnight on into our Friday and Saturday as those temperatures do cool off and those overnight lows drop back below freezing. You can see another round of some possible wintry mix arrives as we welcome in the start of next week.
During this Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a new report from the American Cancer Society shows a lesser-known type of breast cancer is on the rise in women in the United States. An American Cancer Society report shows lobular breast cancer is on the rise. While breast cancer has been increasing 1% for all types, it's closer to 3% for lobular. Dr. Arif Kamal says lobular breast cancer is often diagnosed at more advanced stages because it can be harder to detect on a mammogram. The cancer cells grow in line rather than in a lump. More research is needed on why these cancers are increasing.
It's really important that women not only get mammograms every year so that if it is missed, that we'll find it in the subsequent years, but also to pay attention to their bodies.
In today's Inside the Gates, 2025 marks a milestone for America's naval forces, celebrating 250 years of service, strength, and sacrifice. In Fairbanks, one Navy veteran reflects on decades at sea, and as Adrian Peterson reports, bonds that keep sailors connected long after they leave the ship.
Founded in 1775, the United States Navy has been a crucial part of the military and the ongoing services of the armed forces.
Our mission was basically protecting the sea lanes, keeping them open, keeping them free from pirates and bad guys and all those things.
Serving between 1983 and 2003, Fonger says the strength and longevity of the Navy can be seen in its ships.
The USS Constitution, it was built in 17-something, I don't know the exact year, but it's still afloat today. And it's kind of a testament to the Navy itself, you know. Yeah, it may be 250 years old, but we're strong.
Fonger served in multiple roles during his service, but for him, it's the bonds of service on the boats that carry with him.
Every summer I go to Connecticut, see a couple of my Navy friends, and we hang out, we reminisce.
That camaraderie has been a big part of his service as well as the lessons learned, which he says is a key part of the branch's longevity.
So you reflect, you get better from it, you keep moving forward, but you also keep reflecting. And I think as the Navy moves forward, it's still reflecting back, learning, oh, we should do this, or we can do this better.
As veterans such as Fonger carry that legacy day to day, the celebration of the Navy anniversary will continue nationwide. According to the Navy's official website, those celebrations will also continue for the nation's 250th anniversary, which is next year. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's news source.
Up next, peace is one step closer in Gaza, with both sides, Israel and Hamas, agreeing to the first part of Trump's 20-part peace plan. Israeli hostages are set to be released after 2 years of captivity and a potential withdrawal of Israeli troops. Details when the Morning Edition returns. Welcome back this Thursday morning with a look at what Western Alaska is dealing with. This photo coming from KTUU, Aaron.
Yeah, I was sending this in Jess Sands from KTVF, as you've already mentioned, that ongoing flooding. We did see the water levels approach a major flood stage out towards KTVF Sound. Some good news this morning. While it is still sitting in flood stage, we are seeing those water levels gradually receding. Now, this is the KTVF Sound tide gauge. You can see it did peak at around 6.71 feet through the overnight hours. And as of this morning, it is sitting right around that major flood stage, but continuing to recede. So that that is some good news. We'll still see that potential for some coastal flooding to continue for areas of western and northwest Alaska. But the greatest impacts are gradually going to taper off as we welcome in the remainder of today as that storm system exits off towards the northeast. And as it does, we'll tap into some cooler weather across the state. We'll see those temperatures drop back into the 20s and the 30s from the slope out towards northwestern parts of the state and through the interior, where we're going to be watching some areas of wintry mix looking possible. Now, the warmest weather will likely continue to remain for areas of southeast Alaska. We'll still see some overnight lows on the cool side, but that ridge of high pressure to our south will continue to influence the weather, leading to warmer weather and drier conditions for the Panhandle compared to the rest of the state. Here across South Central, we'll see those temperatures today warming into the 50s. Can't rule out a stray shower as well as some breezy winds that we're seeing this morning. A better return to rain arrives as we welcome in the weekend.
The Israeli hostages may soon be home, a huge cause for celebration throughout Israel as that country and Hamas agree to the first phase of President Trump's peace plan to end the war in Gaza. It includes releasing all the living hostages and remains of the dead, and for the Israeli troops to begin withdrawing from Gaza. That news bringing hope to beleaguered Palestinians as well. Alice Gabar has details from Washington.
Celebrations in Israel as word spread of a deal to free the remaining hostages from Hamas captivity in Gaza, pause the fighting, and see Israel withdraw its troops to what President Trump called an agreed-upon line. He spoke overnight on Fox News about a conversation with Israel's prime minister.
I said, Israel cannot fight the world, baby. They can't fight the world. And he understands that very well. So it's amazing the way it's all come together, and it's a beautiful picture.
That following dramatic moments during an event earlier Wednesday when Secretary of State Marco Rubio handed the president a note and a whispered message.
I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East.
The Israeli cabinet set to vote today on the peace plan President Trump advanced. Approval would trigger the pullback of Israeli forces, with hostages expected to be released on Monday, according to a senior White House official.
What do you guys have to say to President Trump? Thank you!
Family members of some of the remaining 48 hostages sharing their gratitude to President Trump and their determination to see the deal through.
We will not stop fighting until we see the last of the 48 return to their family.
20 of those hostages are believed to still be alive and would be the first returned in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and desperately needed aid into Gaza. Israel and Hamas so far only agreeing to phase 1 of a 20-point plan to bring a final end to 2 years of devastating war. The rest of the peace deal is even trickier, especially the requirement for Hamas to disarm and leave power. And of course, determining a future for Gaza, now in ruins. President Trump said he may travel to the Middle East as soon as this weekend, with peace talks ongoing in Egypt. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Turning now to the newsroom where Adelmi Ruiz joins us with updates and details on more national and worldwide topics. Adelmi.
Kristen, former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty to federal charges Wednesday morning. Comey was arraigned on charges of making a false statement to Congress and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. At today's arraignment, he pleaded not guilty, waiving the reading of the indictment and requested a jury trial. That trial is now set for January 5th, 2026. The charges were brought against Comey after a public campaign by President Donald Trump to prosecute him. The Trump administration accuses Comey of lying to Congress about having authorized a third party to speak anonymously to the media about an FBI investigation. A 6 vote to end the government shutdown failed to pass the Senate. The Senate rejected the Democrats' alternative short-term government spending bill along party lines 47-52, with all Democrats voting for the measure and all Republicans voting against it. The measure needed 60 votes to advance. The Senate also rejected a House-passed short-term spending bill. That bill would reopen the government through November 21st at current funding levels. And blasts were seen and heard in Gaza from southern Israel this morning. This all comes just hours after Israel and Hamas said they had agreed to a long-awaited ceasefire and hostage deal. It is the first phase of President Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza that has killed more than 67,000 people. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the ceasefire would take effect once ratified by the Israeli government. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Time for today's pop quiz. In 2028, we're set to receive a series of 4 biopics, one for each of the famous Beatles members. Paul Mescal is slated to star as Paul McCartney, but who are the other 3 actors slated to star as John, George, and Ringo?
Welcome back in on this Thursday morning. We do have some breezy conditions that continue across South Central. We are expecting to see more sunshine in the forecast for your Thursday, although we can't rule out a stray shower or two, particularly through the valley as well as parts of the Copper River Basin. 48 degrees with winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour this morning, while we will see those temperatures back in the 50s today. By Friday and on into Saturday, we'll see those afternoon highs dropping back into the 40s with the potential that overnight lows could drop down near freezing as the week draws to a close. So holding on to some sunshine today, we'll see just that slight chance for some showers later this afternoon into the evening, and those temperatures are expected to warm into the low to mid 50s. Statewide, we'll see a high of 35 in Utqiagvik, 38 degrees in Kotzebue, so cooler weather filtering in on the backside of that strong low that continues to bring to some coastal flooding. And of course, those coastal flood warnings will continue for areas of western Alaska through today and into our Friday evening.
So we have Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney. Who are the other 3? Well, first, John Lennon is set to be portrayed by Harris Dickinson. Second, there's George Harrison, played by Joseph Quinn. And last up, Barry Cogan as Ringo Starr. Did you get them all right? Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
Saoirse Ronan is joining the Beatles biopics. According to multiple reports, the 4-time Oscar nominee is set to play Linda Eastman McCartney, wife and eventual bandmate of Paul McCartney. Oscar nominee Paul Mescal plays Paul. He and Ronan also played husband and wife in the 2023 sci-fi thriller Foe. The 4 Beatles biopics, one from each band member's point of view, are due out in 2028.
This game, it fills stadiums overseas. And it's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
Or a movie screen. A secret screening at the New York Film Festival turned out to be the world premiere of Marty Supreme. Star Timothy Chalamet and director Josh Safdie were on hand for the surprise. Marty Supreme opens in theaters December 25th.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but we're going to Jersey.
The Heroes in a Half Shell make a shocking discovery in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey. The new short film is set to play in front of the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants when it debuts in theaters December 19th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Still ahead, there's a new game out on the blog that was just released a little over a week ago, known as Lego Party. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like, a party game of Legos full of mini games designed to end friendships, but deliver a ton of fun. We'll have those details when we return.
Welcome back in on this Thursday morning. Breezy conditions and a slight chill in the air across South Central, although our temperatures through the overnight hours continue to remain about 10 to 15 degrees above average, as our overnight lows this time period should be dropping down near that freezing mark, which we have yet to hit here in Anchorage. 40 degrees in Nome, 35 in Utqiagvik, 43 degrees in Bethel. Cooler weather filtering in across western parts of the state. With that said, we've still got several areas up under coastal flood warnings and coastal flood advisories. Areas to the south, you'll see that come to an end later today, while areas to the north, you'll see that coastal flooding coming to an end as we welcome in your Friday. So expect these impacts to gradually wind down, although this morning we're still seeing that major flooding out towards Kotzebue, although Kotzebue Sound, that tidal gauge is beginning to drop back below major flood stage, but you'll still see some gusty conditions in the forecast throughout the remainder of today. Here is a decaying low that's moving out the Kamchatka Peninsula, and just to the south of that is the remnants of a typhoon. Now, these two systems, they're going to merge as we welcome in the weekend, and this is going to help this decaying area of low pressure re-strengthen as it builds into the Bering Sea as we welcome in the weekend. So there comes that remnants of that that typhoon. We're going to be talking about widespread heavy rain through the Aleutians by early Sunday or Saturday morning. Be prepared for some gusty winds as well as some rough seas looking possible. That will build into southwest Alaska out towards the Kuskokwim Delta coastline from Saturday on into Sunday. And we are going to continue again to hold on to this wet weather pattern. Areas of the interior, you'll see some possible wintry mix overnight into your Friday. And then areas of the Alaska or Brooks Range, we'll see that potential for some heavy snowfall. Possibility of seeing upwards of about 10 inches of that snow accumulation in some of those harder hit areas. So we'll be watching for that here over the next couple of days. As far as what we're going to see when it comes to those temperatures across the state for the remainder of today and on into the weekend, we are going to see those temperatures steadily cooling off. Here in Anchorage, you can see we drop into the upper 40s as we welcome in Friday. Still holding on to some sunshine. It's going to be nice outdoors as we welcome in the close of this week. But check out those overnight lows. We drop back down near freezing as we welcome in the weekend. Even if we don't hit that freezing mark, we will see a light freeze and frost potential across South Central. That stays with us through Sunday morning. Rain builds back in, and you can see those temperatures hold near 50 degrees. That rain arriving next week is the same storm system that's going to bring additional rounds of heavy rain, gusty winds, and the potential for some rough seas for areas of western and southwest Alaska.
Adelmi Ruiz is standing by in the newsroom with the last look at local headlines and updates for the morning. Adelmi.
Kristen, the Department of Transportation has secured $41 million in additional funding to continue supporting the Essential Air Service program. It was in danger of a funding lapse during the current government's shutdown. The EAS helps air carriers run out of smaller and rural airports that are not profitable. It usually works as a link to bigger airports for things like job opportunities, medical needs, and commercial goods. The DOT says they now have enough funding to last into early November as the shutdown gets figured out. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. A new law in California is aimed at stopping advertisements from pumping up the volume on streaming services. The law, which says adverts cannot be louder than the primary video content being watched, builds on a federal one that sets the volume of ads on broadcast TV and cable stations to include streaming platforms. California is home to headquarters of streaming platforms Netflix and Hulu, and Amazon produces many of its Prime Videos, shows, and movies there. Here's a bit of history for you. It was 69 years ago that shopping was revolutionized. That's when the first enclosed mall opened. Southdale Mall in suburban Minneapolis was the brainchild of Dayton's department store owner, Donald Dayton. Now, he wanted to entice shoppers to come out during the city's famous frigid winters. The 80,000 square foot mall opened with 72 tenants, a skating rink, a giant bird cage, and a post office. Even though malls aren't as popular in the U.S. as they once were, Southdale Mall is still open. It's also interesting to note the concept of the dying mall is largely a domestic phenomenon. There are still very popular malls in many other parts of the world. One family in South Carolina is going all out for Halloween, but instead of the usual creepy goblins and ghouls, their Halloween display is a frightening, fiery scene that may have non-residents calling 911 for help.
I had seen it years and years ago and had always wanted to do it, and had looked and finally figured it out. On Facebook, you're probably at 25, 26 million views.
At 8 o'clock every night, all of the windows light up that look like a resemblance of a fire scene. We enjoy Halloween, but a lot of the reason we do the different scenes in the front yard is because everybody loves driving by the house. It's on Main Street, easy to find, easily visible.
I think it's amazing. I love it.
It's awesome.
There are people that come by every year just to see what's next. One of the comments we get a lot is about the fire department probably hates you. It's actually the complete opposite. Having businesses in town, everybody kind of knows us, but the fire department also knows. So when they do get a call, they know what we're doing. They just call Sam and say, "Is your house on fire right now?" He says no. End of story.
Anyone who decorates for the holidays and takes the time and energy out of their schedule to make something for others is appreciated by all.
So on October 18th, the homeowners said they plan to add a pumpkin patch to the front yard for the community, and it will be free. Last year, they were able to give out about 1,500 pumpkins.
How do they sleep?
I don't know. It does. I mean, it looks really good. Like, it looks look like a fire. It looks like their house is on fire.
And I'm assuming it's those lights that you put behind curtains or whatever, but I'd still like the light would get to me in the middle of the night.
And fog machines.
But yeah,
I don't know.
You know, if I drove by that, I probably would call the fire department.
You never know. Well, are you a Lego fan? I know Aaron is, or maybe a party-type game fan. Well, why not both? Lego Party, as the name may suggest to you, is just that, a party game where the pieces, the board, even much of the user interface was made with Lego. There's a collection of mini games where you compete and play with your friends.
Yeah, according to the game director, the game is primarily about running friendships and having a lot of fun. Sounds like Uno there. And the fun game is, well, a fun fact for you, the game is actually designed to scale, meaning the game's Lego creations had to be hand-placed as if they were building them with real Legos. And if you built the sets with scaled sizes of Lego pieces, you would actually be able to walk around on them.
How cool would that be?
Wow.
If this was real life.
I like games that run friendships. Those are the fun ones.
Right? Monopoly, like all of the classics ruin friendships, right?
I mean, draw 4. That right there is the gimme.
At the end of the day, you gotta, it's just a game, right? Well, this may take a little see to believe power, but check this out. At a nature preserve in Long Island, New York, an injured monarch butterfly was brought in. The wing was damaged and the butterfly was unable to fly.
Are they fixing to do some surgery on this butterfly?
Yes, look at it.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Well, using a wing from a deceased monarch butterfly, they were able to remove the damaged wing and attach somehow a new wing. The transplant was a success, and the butterfly flew away after to resume their migration. Wow.
Good as new.
I do love me some butterflies.
I know. So pretty. Well, check out this beautiful sight in the sky over New Mexico on Wednesday. It was all a part of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Yeah, the Flight of the Nations honored international pilots as they took off one at a time. Each hot air balloon had the respective flags of their country attached to the baskets. Representatives from 12 countries took part in the event. I saw a post the other day where it detailed or showed a photo from the air balloon festival, whatever you want, hot air balloon festival. And it was like, you know, when you're standing at the surface, it's like everything is pausing except for the sky is moving. And
yeah.
you can actually see the balloons just kind of like moving with the curvature of the
It's
air.
a stunning sight. I don't think I would ever get in one. I'm pretty afraid of heights. I'm sure the view is stunning from the top, but I'll just stay on the ground and watch the beauty of the balloons fly by.
Oh, look, there's a little alien one there too.
Cute. Yeah, I know. They're all unique and yeah, it's pretty cool to look at.
Well, still holding on to that stormy weather out towards western and northwestern parts of the state where some ongoing coastal flooding remains in effect. Through the interior, we are going to tap into some cooler conditions through the overnight hours on into our Friday. As a result of that, the hills surrounding Fairbanks, some of those higher elevations, the White Mountains, be prepared for some snow accumulation. At the surface, we may see some flurries mixed in, but I think we'll largely see some rain. But keeping that wintry mix in the forecast as those temperatures are set to drop back below freezing as the week draws to a close. Here across South Central, we'll also be chasing those overnight lows dropping down near freezing. Anchorage, West Anchorage out towards the airport may dip down right around 34 to 35 degrees. We'll be watching for that. Even if we don't hit freezing, we will see some light frost in the forecast. So be prepared for that this weekend. Temperatures stay near 50 into next week with more rain building in across the region.
All right, that's it for us here on the Morning Edition. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.